how to buy, fix, and flip deals at estate sales. Over the past 22 years, I've purchased my fair share of properties that are being passed down to children from someone that maybe has deceased or has had to go into a retirement home. Sometimes those deals go through probate, sometimes an estate attorney, but another option to buy them is actually at estate sales. And I want to talk to you about how you can do this. First off, let's just talk about what is an estate sale. An estate sale is typically where the family is going to be selling the belongings, the personal property that's inside the home that the grandma and grandpa had to try and recover some money to maybe help grandma in the rest home or to divvy up between the family members. Typically what happens is the family members, one of two things. The family members go in there and say, take what you would like. Maybe grandma had some instructions about what she wanted to give everybody. And then that goes to the people, and then what's left, they sell and do an estate sale to try and liquidate the stuff that's in the property, get a little bit of cash, help out with the utilities, or help grandma that may be in the nursing home, or even help pay for some of the funeral expenses if that's been the case. And that's the idea of what a estate sale really is. Now, why would you want to go to an estate sale? Lots of times, people that are having an estate sale haven't made decisions yet on the property itself. They're typically in the earlier stages where they're trying to get stuff out of the house and try and get the house into a condition where they're going to want to sell the property. It also could be that there's some infighting between siblings. Hey, I want this, you want that. I want to keep the property, you don't. So it's an opportunity where if you can come in and say, hey, I can help solve this problem, you might be able to resolve it. Now, you're not going to do it that day more than likely, but I like the estate sales because we know there's opportunity. The other reason I like estate sales is typically most estate properties are either out of date or they're held together with baling wire and duct tape because grandpa was a do-it-yourselfer. Now, I love that kind of stuff, but those properties that are in that condition are not going to be able to get a traditional bank loan. You see, you can't go to Chase, Wells Fargo, wherever you want to go and say, I want to buy a property, but it's in really bad shape and I'm going to have to spend a ton of money fixing it up. The bank's going to say, no, it's got to meet a certain criteria in order for us to lend on it. Now, why is this? Well, a bank doesn't want to have you buy a property, put a large down payment, and then find out there's a major roof problem that's going to prevent you from making payments to them, which then is going to put them in default. So they want to make sure the property is in a good enough condition that it's going to last a long enough duration where you're going to be okay. Now, does that guarantee anything? No. And who looks at this? Well, typically, if it's an FHA appraiser, the FHA appraiser is going to look at it and say, hey, I think the roof has 5 years or more of life. Okay, check. Or I don't, and I'm going to require a roofing inspection done on that. He's looking for those types of things, wood to earth contact, anything that, because we're looking at termite type situations, anything that could maybe be a major cost and need to be done immediately is something that that appraiser for an FHA type appraisal is going to be looking for. The question is, how do we find estate sales? The answer is typically on Saturday or Sunday mornings, you can drive around and see signs for garage sales or estate sales where people are liquidating things. It could be on a local classified. It could be on Craigslist. It could be on a Facebook marketplace. It could be on a newspaper. There's lots of different ways people are advertising that they're actually having an estate sale because they want to get people there because they want to sell the stuff that is in the property. So what do you do? How do you do this? Well, let's say you're driving around on a Saturday morning and you see an estate sale sign and you pull up, you find out who's in charge just kind of by looking around and looking at some of the stuff, and then you approach them and you say, how much for this? And they say, for what? And I'm like, for that. And I point to the property and they say, oh, we're not sure. And that usually starts them telling the story of what's going on. If it's not, I'm going to encourage them to continue to tell the story of actually what's going on. With that, I'm going to ask them, hey, do you mind if I take a look at the property? The other thing before I go look at the property is I am going to get their name, their phone number, their email addresses, and all the siblings' names and phone number addresses that they can possibly give me. Now, maybe that's before I go see the property. Maybe that's after I go through the property. Sometimes the estate sales are outside. Sometimes they're in the the garage, and sometimes they're just through the house, and you walk through the house and look at the different things that are there and look to purchase those. Now, when I'm looking through the property, what am I actually looking for? The very best properties are the ones that are in poor condition or out of date. Those are the ones that are not going to be able to sell in the open market, where an investor like me is going to be able to help a family member, where I can actually purchase that property. I'll deal with all those problems. See, a family doesn't want to have to put a whole bunch of money into the property. You've got 4 different siblings, 3, 8, whatever, and they've got to divvy up $50,000 to $100,000 worth of work. So everybody's got to bring $20,000 or $25,000 or whatever that divvies up to. Well, most people are going to say, I can't afford that. I can't do that. Well, then what happens? So typically when we're dealing with an estate sale, it's better for the family just to sell the property the way that it sits. One of the things I like to do for estate sales is whatever they don't sell from the estate sale, I tell them just to leave. Lots of times they're trying to take trips to the dump or donate it to a Goodwill. Whatever the case is, they don't need to worry about that. I simply say, take what you like, take what you want, sell what you can, and what's left, just leave it in the property and I will take care of it. So they sign a release that says, hey, I get all the personal property that's inside the property. I'm not doing this to try and make money or find some golden coin under the cushion that nobody looked for. What I'm doing is making it easy for them emotionally, because I'm gonna have an easier time throwing away those things than they are. So it's basically helps them move forward and move past the idea of throwing away all these things that was really special to grandma, because face it, they can't keep everything that was in grandma and grandpa's house. They just can't. And a lot of stuff probably shouldn't be kept. So it's easier for me to throw away than it is for them. So that's a service that I provide at no cost to them if they decide to sell the property to me. How can you assess that the property is a good fix and flip? There's a couple things I want you to look at while you're at the property if you're able to get inside. I want to make sure you're looking at the roof from the exterior. I want to make sure you're looking at the foundation from the interior and the exterior, taking pictures of all these, of course. I also want to have you take pictures and look at the HVAC systems. How many are there? What year are they? Take a picture of the tag that's on them. I want to have you take a look at the electrical panel and make a determination about what type of electricity is in there, knob and tube, fuse. Those are some old things you want to stay away from. Take a picture of that. You're also going to want to look at the plumbing and see, are we talking about PEX plumbing, or are we talking about copper plumbing? What are we looking at here, so you have a better idea of what it's going to cost to fix this property up. Now, you may say, hey Ryan, I don't know what PEX is. I don't know what copper is. I don't know any of those things. It's really simple. Go to the sink, turn it on, look underneath the cabinet, take a picture of it, and then you can talk to your general contractor about what it is and what to do. So please don't get tied up in the what is this or what is that or what's going on. Just take the pictures and make a relationship with the people that are there. Now, you really do not want to leave this estate sale without having names, phone numbers, and email addresses of everybody that may be involved in this transaction. That is really important, because you're going to have to follow up. The house may not be able to be sold at this time because there may be some issues with a probate situation. The house may be able to be sold, or it's something where they're still making decisions, family has to meet, so it's going to be a long follow-up. You really want them to know, like, and trust you, and you have a good idea of what the property is and what it's going to cost you, so you have a good idea about what you could make an offer for. What you're going to do is follow up with them and continue to follow up with them until you make a deal with them or they do something else with the property. I've put together a video you're gonna wanna check out, how I repeatedly find motivated sellers for fix and flips. I go through the first steps in getting into real estate investing, how if you can't find sellers, you're not a true investor, and I show you how I target the right properties with the right owners over and over again. Check out this video, you're gonna love it, and make it a very profitable day.